Hey y'all, welcome back. Of course, I'm saying welcome back to everyone who's been here before because you know you my faves and you fam. Absolutely 123% for sure. So, welcome back to all of you. I appreciate you. And if you are new here, I want you to feel at home, feel welcome, feel like this is a place for you to be where you can be who you are and experience some things that I have seen in my travels to more than 50 countries. Um, I hope to see others. I'm actually definitely going to be going to another place and I'll be taking you with me. It'll be my first time there. Um, and that'll be coming up, soonish. Um, but I have started this series of, um, nothing like a good old siren. The joys of living in New York. I'm sure it's just background music. That's what we'll call it. So, yeah, okay. So, it all started. I was gonna do a video that just talked about um, some empowering women that I had, some solo travelers who I had met that I felt were, um, you know, interesting and gave me that feel good feeling, that lasting feel good feeling. Because, you will meet so many people when you travel, but everyone doesn't have the same effect. You know what I mean? Like, you will meet them and be like, oh, okay, so and so was nice or whatever. I mean, that's typical. It's just like the place. You remember that you were there, but it's that one particular person that was at that hotel who was so nice to you. Maybe it's a staff or another guest or whatever that you remember so fondly. And these are people like that. They just touched me in a certain kind of way. So I've already talked to you about T, and I've talked to you about C. But now I want to talk to you about S. S is a young lady. Now, I would be, I don't want to lie because I can't remember exactly how old she was, but she was somewhere between, I'm going to say, 19 and 22, somewhere in there, I believe. And this young lady I met in Cambodia, and she was from France. And I, if I remember correctly, her mother was Cambodian and her father was of African descent, but I don't recall what country. You know, it may be I don't recall what country, but this young lady was phenomenal. Is phenomenal, okay? And I say that because these people who were so important in my travels, like my travel experience, I still keep in contact with them. We just had this amazing discourse like a couple of weeks ago before I got sick. We just had this, and she was like, "Oh, when are you coming to France? Oh, you must come and stay with me." And well, I'm telling you, my 57-year-old self, and she's like probably at this point in her, I'm gonna say early 30s or late 20s. I can't, like I said, I don't know the exact, but she's somewhere in there, and she's still would like me to come and stay with her, come visit her in France. So that just kind of tells you that I had some impact on her, and she had this huge impact on me. And I remember, so she came with a group. And the trip was organized, I think, for people who had some connection to Cambodia, and they were getting an opportunity to go to this place where they had never been. And so she was from a neighborhood in France that I can't recall, but I remember mentioning this particular area to another person, another French person, and they were like, oh, like, so apparently this is like the hood. It's like the hood, and everybody knows it. And I was like, oh, okay, because it's outside of Paris, but people know this area. They know it. So I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, that don't matter. I'm from Brooklyn. So, people say what they say about Brooklyn too, right? So, I mean, and I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying, it is what it is. So anyway, this young lady was so amazing to me. And what happened was, we had experienced a lot of rain. And during this time that they were there, this group was there, and they had their own activities and things. So, they were, I guess before they were leaving, they were going to go back to Siem Reap. And I had been to Siem Reap, multiple times or whatever. But I was like, yeah, let me, go this particular weekend too. Because they had there was the place we were staying, they would arrange that you could go for the weekend to Siem Reap and arrange taxis and such and whatever. And I was like, yeah, so you always want to try to, share a taxi with folks. And so I had the opportunity to share a taxi with some of them. And, I stayed where I stayed, they stayed where they stayed or whatever. But this group was having this last big dinner, and they talked to their group leader, and they were like, can Robin come to this dinner? We want to invite her to the dinner too. I'm just like, I was just amazed, okay? And this particular young lady, just to kind of go back a little bit, we both liked these frappe type drinks, right? These coffee drinks. And so there was a really nice place in this little town we were in that we went and we met the owners, and there was a young guy and his wife. I'm trying to think, was she his girlfriend at the time? Maybe they might have been married already, but they didn't have any children yet, and they were the nicest folks, and they had opened this coffee shop. And so we went there, and I believe it was S's birthday, we went back. We used to go there all the time, but for S's birthday, we all arranged to go there to this cafe and have cake and drinks, just the coffee drinks or whatever, just a little get together or whatever. And I remember that actually we didn't arrange we knew there was going to be cake, but S did not know there was going to be cake. The owners of the shop, because we used to go there all the time, they brought out this cake for S, and it was so sweet, and it was so nice. We had impacted this couple so much by coming there, and they said because we came there, other people were coming there, and it just increased their business, and it was just really nice, right? That they had all these foreigners kind of come in and visit in their spot, and which they were just the nicest. I keep in touch with them as well on Facebook. I do. So, but anyway, S was just this amazing young lady, and we had this incident where it had rained a lot, and it was not so much to do or whatever, but it was this one evening, and it had stopped raining, and we decided to come sit outside, and we were talking to one of the guys who actually was working at the place where we were, and he did a lot of cooking, and he told us this story. So it was me and S, and he explained about rice, because anybody who knows me, when I was in Peru, that was the first experience I had with people who eat a lot of rice. In Peru, rice is serious. They're serious about rice, and which I think in a lot of places they are, but in the US maybe we eat rice, but I don't necessarily say I wouldn't say I love rice. I would say that yes, we have rice, but I can take it or leave it. So anyway, because I digress, that's what I do. The guy was telling us the story of how when he was a kid, he I'm trying to find the words, because it's every time I think about this story and the lesson I learned from this story, that I have a greater appreciation just for people in general, but for rice, even though I don't necessarily, like I said, love it. But he was telling about how they were so poor that when it would rain, the ditches that would be sort of near the front of the house, that area. A lot of times they would have these little fish, and they would catch these little fish, and I was like, these little fish, like what kind of little fish is in the ditch? I just couldn't understand. Like I was just like, what? And I was just trying to as he was explaining it to me, I was like, oh, okay, all right. And so anyway, he was saying how they would have to catch these little fish, and just telling about the hardships that they experienced, growing up, that he experienced growing up. And he was saying that his family farmed rice, and that they would gather all this rice, they would keep a certain amount for themselves, and then they would sell the rest. And he was saying how that when they would go to sell the rice, it was kind of far, and they didn't have a car or anything. They only had like their cow. They had like their cow. I'm just telling you. And they would hook the cart to this, cow basically, and it would pull the cart slowly, to where they were going. And he was saying that it would take sometimes 2 or 3 days to go to where they were going, and how and at night, these nights, it wasn't like they were staying in a hotel or anything like that. They slept on top of these bags of rice, and I was just like, what? You know what I'm saying? I'm like a kid from New York. So S and I are sitting there listening to this story, and how the hardships that were endured. And this guy was explaining how they would sell the rice, and that was how they would get money in order to buy things like salt. And he was saying like sugar was a luxury, but just to be able to get salt and sugar and other items that they might need, they would take the proceeds from selling the rice. And I remember him saying, rice is life. And we were so struck by rice is life. Like it spurred a whole conversation about it. And I was like, wow, because when I think of rice, I'm only thinking about the fact that I have to eat it. Like I don't want to eat it. So as I was saying, when I was in Peru, like they would go to put rice on my plate, and they would have like this heaping spoonful, and I would be like, poco arroz, por favor, poco arroz. Like a little bit of rice, please, a little bit, because I don't want all that rice. And so for him to say rice is life, it was a whole new meaning to this rice is life. So S and I are sitting there having this whole conversation about, like I'm only thinking about the fact that I have to eat it, and I don't necessarily want to, but he was grateful to have this rice. And if he was lucky enough to catch some small fish or some frogs or something in the little ravine that was near his home, then he would have that as the meat. And he said sometimes, they catch the rice, the rats in the rice field. They would sometimes have that would be the protein, in this thing. But he was saying that what they always at least had rice. Rice was life. So I was thinking like, man, I'm sitting here talking about rice in the terms of like, I don't want to eat it, but he's talking about rice in the sense that like, I'm so grateful to have it. And because of rice, my family is able to buy some other things that we need, and we're able to survive. So S and I were so taken with this whole conversation that it led to us having so many other deep conversations about life and about abundance, and what where this idea of lack comes from, and just an appreciation of who you are as a person, and dreams. We talked about dreams, hopes and dreams, and just so many things. And again, I'm this 40 something talking to this young person, possibly 20 something. I'm not even sure that she was there yet. And even with this gap, we had this like intersection, this connection that was undeniable. I'm telling you about And it was, I had like a connection to some of her friends too. So, it was a lot of them. But there was something about S. And I'm telling you that when it was time to part, when they were getting ready to leave, there were tears flowing on both sides. We were crying. We were crying because it was so significant to us. It was so significant. But I'm telling you, this young lady is a pastry chef now. Okay, she's back at home. She had been living away from her neighborhood for quite a while, but she's back in that area, and she's a pastry chef, and she has sent me photos of different creations, culinary creations that she's had, and she's like amazing, and as she's an amazing chef and an amazing person, and so I want to honor S with this travel story. I want to honor S because I felt very empowered. I felt very fortunate to have met her, and I know that she will continue to do great things. And yeah. I mean, I can't say enough. I know that a lot of this story was about the story that was told to us, but it was at that point that the conversations were sparked, because that story is significant to everybody, that Rice's life. And it made me think about this other young man who I met while in Cambodia. He was from Japan. His father was American and his mother was Japanese, and he grew up in Japan. And I remember, as we're sitting there, again, this is a whole nother rice story, this dude ate every grain of rice on his plate. And I was like, wow. I said, my mother would be happy. So I was jokingly telling him, I was like, yeah, my mother would be happy because we say a thing like CPC, Clean Plate Club. Like that's when you're a kid, you're supposed to clean your plate, right? And so I was telling him that. And he said that in Japan, in school, they learn that you eat every grain of rice. You appreciate your food. You like honor the work that went into giving you food to eat, and you honor the process of eating it, and you eat every grain of rice. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, every grain of rice, but it also makes me think, like, don't take more than you can eat, right? So it's not wasteful. Don't take more than you can eat, and everything you take, you eat it. Take what you want, but eat what you take. Yeah, every grain of rice. So that's kind of a little connection. But I met so many wonderful people during my time in Cambodia. I spent about 3 months, maybe 4, in Cambodia. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. I had an absolute fantastic time in Cambodia. And I met a lot of amazing people, and S was one of them. And I want to honor that time that I spent with her. And surely when I get myself back to France, I am going to meet up with her. That is for sure. Yes, indeed. So, the business of YouTube. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and share. Okay? There's other people out there who need to hear all this goodness. Okay? There's so many wonderful things that have happened. And yes, it would be wonderful when I figure out how to do this editing part, and if I can ever retrieve some of these photos, at least if I could have some photos of the places I've been. What I'm going to try to do is, when I do find photos on old phones and stuff, I'm going to try to post them in the community tab of different places I've been. I have been sick, and I hadn't been really doing that much, but I'm coming back. I'm coming back, and hopefully I'll be able to upload a little bit more stuff for you, so you can see some of the places that I've been. I will say this, that I'm not like your typical person who takes like a million photos. I don't necessarily take all those photos because I want to be present in the moment that I'm having. Like, I don't want to just be stuck behind a camera. That's not my goal. And if you want to see like local tourist sites, you don't have to see them through my eyes. You can Google it. Like, it's not even a thing. But I feel like the impact of the stories, the interactions, the feelings that you have when you go to these places, I feel like that's so much more vital to understanding a place than just seeing a photo, which you can, like I said, you can Google. So I want you to understand that even though I'm going to, you know, I might go to Cambodia and I've met someone who was from France or somebody who was from Japan, you know, as well as Cambodian people that have impacted my travel. So that's the beauty of traveling. You meet people from all over. That's the wonderful part. So anyway, this is my tribute to S. And as I like to say, it means the world to me to be able to share my world with you, because you are the reason that I do what I do. I've enjoyed being able to visit places and do things, right? And now I want to share that with you. I want to share it with you mainly because I want you to think about where you want to go, what you want to do, what would inspire you, or, you know, if help you to feel more empowered. So I want to be an encouragement, a motivator. I want to be a person who makes you think like, maybe I can, you know, or if you are at a place where you're saying that I'm not sure that I can, I want you to feel comfortable enough to say, how did you do it? And, you know, maybe ask some of the questions that linger in your mind that give you the doubt that you have, right? So yeah, that's why I said comment. Like, tell me a little something about you. I'm gonna do my very best to try to get back to as many people as I can. That is the goal. I'm not necessarily trying to just say, you know, oh, just like. No, I want you to really interact with me, because this is a place of community. I want you to be able to come and for us to discuss things, right? And get something out of it. That's it. I want you to get something out of what I'm saying or what I've experienced, right? So that's the reason why I share it, you know. And yeah. So at the end of everything, I like to always say, do good and be better. So that means be a better person today than you were yesterday, and to be even better tomorrow. That's the goal, right? Like, this is why we here on this big round thing. You know, we have life and breath and opportunity to do certain things that we maybe want to do. You know, some people don't have the freedoms to even be watching something on YouTube, right? This is a luxury. This is, you know, it's not the given that just everybody gets it. No, that's not how the world works. And that's kind of like another thing that I want to spotlight. Like, we need to at least use what we have. Use what we have to get where we want to go and to make it possible for others to do the same. So, having said all of that, I just want to say I thank you again for being here with me, and I hope that you will continue on this journey with me. I have so many other people that I want to travel stories I want to share about inspiring and empowering female solo travelers that I've encountered. S wasn't actually a solo traveler per se because she came in a group, but we did things together, you know, not as her, you know, not with her group, right? We did other things. That's what I was saying about the whole coffee thing. We were going and having coffee like on a pretty much daily basis, you know, and using that time to get to know each other. So it was just wonderful. So, you know, I was the solo traveler, and her not was a kind of a group traveler, but we had these solo travel experiences, right? Okay. But anyway, nonetheless, I was still inspired, and I felt wonderful, and I will forever remember those interactions that I had with S. S was amazing. And yeah, if I can think of the name of the place, because I'm terrible with that. I've been so, and I want y'all to give me a little bit of grace on this, because I have been a lot of places. I was writing down, trying to remember like places that I have visited in Thailand, and some of the smaller places I just cannot recall. A lot of the names are very similar, and I'm like, So I'm, even when I talk about Thailand, I'm gonna do a video with talking about Thailand, and I'm gonna have to just include the places that I can recall. I've been a lot of places, and because of the fact that I've never been a person who was trying to use my travel as a way to do anything. Not knocking that, but I just never did. So because I didn't do it, I don't have all of the, the photos of me with the dress flowing in the wind on the big swing and all that kind of stuff. I just don't have it. Even though I've done it. I did the big swing. That big swing, I think I did I did a big swing thing when I was in Ecuador. I want to say I was in Ecuador. It's really, yeah. Because remember, we had to walk up all them steps. I was not with that. I was like, ugh. It was horrible. Anyway. Anyway, this is supposed to be a tribute to S. I digress. I'm going to have a t-shirt. That's going to be my thing. I digress, because that's what I do. At any rate, this is going very long, longer than I had anticipated. And there are so many other women that I want to talk about, these empowering solo travelers that I encountered in many places. Okay, so bear with me. Bear with me. It's more about the spirit of the experience than it is the actual name of the town kind of thing, right? It's a little town about an hour and change away from Siem Reap. Let's just go with that. That's where that happened. And she lives in a place probably within an hour or two of Paris. Yeah. So people know it. I just don't recall it. Because it's not significant. I just want to say that part. It's not really significant, because even though I'm sure it shaped her as a person, she isn't necessarily a representation of the best or the worst of that place. She's just was a resident there. So, I mean, the fact that I can't remember all the names of places is not all that big, I think. Right? Well, tell me in the comments if you think it's a big deal. Do you think that before I do a video, I need to write down all these places that I can recall? Because I can't count on my memory to be there for me. Should I? Do I have to? I don't know. I just want to tell a story. Can I just tell the story? Okay, I'm dragging this on. Until next time. Ciao for now.